Ukrainian commander warns Bakhmut situation is tense. The commander of Ukraine's ground forces, Colonel General Oleksandr Syrsky, has given an update on what's happening around the eastern city of Bakhmut. He said this morning that the situation is very tense after Russian forces ramped up their attacks in their campaign to encircle the city. Moscow is attempting to cut off supply lines to the city for Ukrainian troops, in a bid to get them to surrender or withdraw. In a post today on Ukraine's military messaging platform, Mr. Syrsky said, despite significant losses, the enemy threw in the most prepared assault units of Wagner, who are trying to break through the defenses of our troops and surround the city. The battle for Bakhmut is one of the bloodiest in the war so far. Kyiv said earlier today that Russia had bolstered its forces in the area around the highly contested city, with its soldiers repelling more than 60 enemy attacks. Ukrainian troops also defended assaults in the villages of Yadin and Berkivka, to the north of Bakhmut. Military analyst for Ukraine, Oleh Zhdanov, said Vladimir Putin's military had come between the two villages in an attempt to cut the road heading west toward nearby Chasiv Yar. The southern part of Bakhmut is the only area which can be described as under Ukrainian control, he said. In all other districts, the situation is unpredictable. It is impossible to say where the front line lies. The commander of Ukraine's ground forces, Colonel General Oleksandr Syrsky, has given an update on what's happening around the eastern city of Bakhmut. As Russians encircle the city, it's a war of attrition. The battle for the small town of Bakhmut has become one of the most intense fighting areas in the entire Donetsk region. As Russia tries to take the town, it's also trying to cut off the Ukrainian defenders' supply lines, which would give Moscow its first major victory in more than half a year and open the way to capture of the last remaining urban centers in the region. Despite the gruesome fighting, Ukraine's forces are able to hold back the advance of Russian troops. The Russians are relying on smaller tactical groups, instead of heavy equipment, to approach Ukraine's forces and engage them in close combat battles, military analysts said. It's a tense time for the Ukrainians, who have been fighting Russian-backed pro-Russian forces in and around Bakhmut since May. It's a fight that has turned the city into a battlefield of street combat, with every street in the suburbs and surrounding villages being contested. The situation is extremely tense, Syrsky told reporters on Tuesday, as Russian troops encircle Bakhmut. The warmer weather heralding the coming of spring has transformed frozen ground into mud, making it harder for soldiers to advance, but Ukraine is able to defend its outskirts and the road into the city from all sides, thanks to their specialized fighting units. In addition to their regular artillery and mortars, they have a new weapon, the air-to-ground laser system known as the Tactical Guided Missile. It's a surprisingly effective weapon that can be used against targets from long range, like tanks and trucks.